Hello everyone, today we're going to explore the complex world of criminal minds. Hello everyone, today we're going to explore the complex world of criminal minds. Understanding how these minds work can help us grasp the motivations behind criminal behavior and why, ultimately, many end up in jail. Understanding criminal minds. Criminal minds often operate under a different set of rules and logic than the general public. They may see the world as a place where they can exploit others for personal gain, often disregarding the consequences of their actions. This mindset can stem from various factors, including upbringing, environment, and psychological conditions. Negative aspects. Lack of empathy. Many criminals struggle with empathy, making it easier for them to harm others without remorse. This lack of emotional connection can lead to repeated offenses. Manipulation. Criminals often use manipulation to achieve their goals. They might charm or deceive others to get what they want, which can lead to a cycle of abuse and exploitation. Impulsivity. Some criminal behavior is driven by impulsivity, where individuals act on instinct without considering the consequences. This can lead to reckless decisions that harm both themselves and others. Consequences. As criminal behavior continues, the consequences become more severe. Legal repercussions can escalate, leading to fines, probation, and eventually imprisonment. Despite these consequences, some individuals continue down this path, often due to a lack of alternative options or support. Jail as the last resort. For many, jail becomes the last resort, a place where they are forced to confront the reality of their actions. While it serves as a form of punishment, it also provides an opportunity for reflection and rehabilitation. However, the effectiveness of rehabilitation programs varies, and not all individuals are given the chance to reform. Conclusion. In conclusion, understanding criminal minds is crucial for developing effective strategies to prevent crime and support rehabilitation. While jail may be necessary for public safety, it should ideally be accompanied by efforts to address the root causes of criminal behavior and provide opportunities for reform. This script provides a comprehensive overview of how criminal minds work, highlighting the negative aspects and the eventual consequence of imprisonment. It also touches on the importance of rehabilitation and addressing underlying issues to prevent further criminal activity.
Hey everyone, welcome to Crime Chronicles. Today, we're diving into a thrilling story of a bank robbery gone terribly wrong. It's called The Heist That Went Wrong, and trust me, you won't want to miss a second of this. Let's get started. Meet Vikram Sharma, Vic to his friends. A 35-year-old ex-convict with a scar on his cheek and a past full of mistakes. Vic was desperate. He owed $50,000 to a ruthless loan shark named Ravi, who gave him a chilling ultimatum: pay up in 48 hours, or you're a dead man. Vic knew he had to act fast. So, he hatched a plan, a daring bank robbery at Citi Trust Bank. It was his only way out. Or so he thought. In his cramped apartment, Vic sketched out the bank's layout. Circling the vault. He packed a duffel bag with a ski mask, gloves, and a fake gun, muttering to himself, "This has to work." The stakes were high, and Vic was all in. The next morning, Vic stormed into Citi Trust Bank, his ski mask hiding everything but the scar on his cheek. "Everyone down. Open the vault, now," he shouted, waving his fake gun. Customers screamed, dropping to the floor, while the bank manager, Mrs. Kapoor, stayed calm. She opened the vault, but not before pressing a silent alarm. Vic stuffed cash into his bag, his hands shaking, and bolted out the door. He jumped into a stolen black sedan, tires screeching as he sped off. But the sirens were already closing in. Mrs. Kapoor was on the phone. He's heading north on Main Street. Vic thought he'd made it, until he saw the flashing lights in his rearview mirror. Inspector Arjun, a determined cop, led the chase. Suspect heading toward the bridge, cut him off. He barked into his radio. Vic weaved through traffic, his heart pounding. The police SUVs were gaining on him, their sirens deafening. He hit the gas, racing onto a narrow bridge, swerving to avoid a blockade. His car smashed through a barrier, sparks flying as it scraped the railing. For a moment, Vic smirked. He thought he'd escaped. But the bridge had a sharp turn. Vic took it too fast. His car spun out, crashing into a for today.
Psychology plays a critical role in shaping the behavior of criminals and gangsters, influencing their decisions, actions, and eventual downfall. The mind of a criminal is a complex web of psychological influences, many of which are formed in childhood, but also evolve through environment, culture, and even neurological predisposition. For many, a life of crime is not born out of mere choice or greed, but as a response to deeper emotional wounds and social circumstances. Understanding the psychological roots of criminal behavior reveals the intricate link between mind and action in the world of gangsters. It often starts in childhood. Trauma, neglect, and abuse at a young age can significantly impact the development of a child's emotional and moral compass. Children who grow up in toxic environments may never develop a healthy sense of empathy or compassion. Living in neighborhoods plagued by gang activity, drugs, and violence increases the likelihood of adopting similar behaviors. Criminal behavior becomes normalized, and for young people growing up in these conditions, it's not just about crime, it's about identity. Gangs often provide a sense of belonging and pride that is absent in other areas of their lives. When there's little to no other form of validation, the attention and respect earned through criminal activities become the primary source of self-worth, a cycle of violence that is hard to break. Brain chemistry plays a significant role in the actions of criminals, particularly when it comes to impulse control. Research has shown that some individuals have brain abnormalities that make them more prone to impulsivity, aggressions, and criminals, portraying them as individuals who live outside the law but still manage to attain power, wealth, and respect. For impressionable youth, these portrayals can be incredibly appealing. The reality of crime is often much more brutal and unforgiving, but the media creates a fantasy world where criminals are heroes of their own stories. This glamorization influences young minds, leading them to believe that criminal behavior is an acceptable way to achieve fame and success. On top of all this, many criminals are motivated by a deep sense of revenge or a need to restore some form of justice. In gang culture, a slight or betrayal can lead to violent retribution, often escalating into a never-ending cycle of revenge. Often by society itself. As this mentality spreads, it creates an environment where crime becomes not only accepted but expected. The road to crime can be gradual. Many criminals begin with petty theft or minor offenses, believing they can get away with it without facing serious consequences. However, as their confidence grows and they become more entangled in the criminal world, their offenses escalate. For some, it starts with shoplifting or stealing a car, but eventually, they may find themselves committing more serious crimes such as armed robbery, bank theft, or even murder. The desire for more money, more power, and more respect drives them to take increasingly dangerous risks. Mentorship plays a crucial role in the development of a criminal mindset. Just as a young person might look up to a mentor in a legitimate field, a young criminal may look to an experienced gangster for guidance. These mentors teach the rules of the criminal world, instructing their protégés on how to avoid getting caught, how to handle rivals, and how to stay loyal to the gang. This mentorship is often intertwined with emotional manipulation, with the older criminal using their knowledge and experience to control the younger individual's actions. Linked to crime. Many criminals are driven to commit illegal acts to fuel their drug habits, which often spiral out of control. The desperation that comes with addiction can make individuals reckless, and they may commit crimes they would not have considered otherwise. The high from drugs can numb the psychological pain they carry, making them feel invincible and disconnected from the reality of their actions. First, return to society more hardened and more committed to criminal activity. In prison, individuals learn more about crime and often forge connections with other criminals who teach them more sophisticated ways to commit offenses. The lack of effective rehabilitation programs means that the roots of criminal behavior are never truly addressed, leading many to reoffend once released. For some, the only life they know is one of crime, and even if they wanted to change, they often find themselves unable to escape their criminal ties. The need for status and wealth is a powerful motivator for many criminals, particularly those involved in organized crime. Gangsters often seek power, fame, and financial success, seeing criminal acts as the quickest way to achieve their goals. The idea of being on top or being feared within a community is a driving force for many who enter the world of crime. The allure of fast money, luxury, and respect can overshadow the potential consequences of their actions, making crime feel like an acceptable risk. As they climb the criminal ladder, they become more ruthless, willing to commit even greater acts of violence to secure their position. Many criminals lead double lives, masking their true selves from the outside world. They may appear to be a loving family man or a respected member of the community, while secretly engaging in illegal activities. This dual personality syndrome can make it difficult for those around them to see the criminal tendencies, and it can also serve as a psychological defense mechanism. The criminal becomes disconnected from their actions, compartmentalizing their behavior and convincing themselves that they are justified in their illegal activities. This ability to compartmentalize emotions and actions allows them to operate in the shadows without the constant guilt or remorse that others might feel. Lastly, fear and intimidation are powerful psychological tools. Gangsters and criminals to maintain control over their environment. Criminals often use fear as a weapon, manipulating and coercing others into compliance. This fear-based control creates a climate of silence and submission, making it difficult for victims to speak out or for law enforcement to intervene. The constant threat of violence or retaliation keeps many individuals in check, creating a power dynamic where the criminal is in control and others are at their mercy. Understanding the psychological roots of criminal behavior sheds light on the complex motivations behind crime and helps us understand why people choose paths of destruction. It's not always about greed or evil. Often, it's about survival, pain, and the mind's response to an environment that doesn't nurture its potential. Through examining these psychological factors, we gain insight into the dark corners of the human psyche, where crime begins, thrives, and sometimes, tragically, consumes. In conclusion, the psychological roots of criminal behavior, especially in gang culture and among gangsters, are deeply embedded in a combination of childhood experiences, social environments, neurological factors, and emotional states. The decision to engage in crime is rarely one of mere choice or desire for wealth. It is often the result of a series of circumstances that shape an individual's worldview, values, and ability to empathize. Many gangsters and criminals begin their lives in toxic environments filled with neglect, abuse, and trauma. These early life experiences can severely disrupt emotional development, leading to a lack of empathy, a diminished sense of morality, and an increased likelihood of engaging in criminal activities as a means of survival or retaliation. One of the most prominent factors in the formation of a criminal mindset is the experience of childhood trauma. Children who face neglect, abuse, or emotional deprivation often struggle to develop healthy coping mechanisms, and without positive role models or guidance, they may resort to destructive behaviors. These children may internalize feelings of worthlessness, anger, or fear, leading them to seek validation through criminal acts. For some, gangs provide the emotional support, sense of belonging, and protection that they lacked at home, creating a false sense of family. This environment normalizes crime as a way to gain respect and status, making it difficult for these individuals to perceive their actions as morally wrong. Poverty and a lack of opportunity also play significant roles in pushing individuals toward a life of crime. When people grow up in areas where legitimate means of survival are scarce, criminal activity may seem like the only viable option for economic stability. Many gangsters, especially those involved in street-level crimes, come from impoverished neighborhoods where drug dealing, robbery, and other forms of illegal activity become the norm. Crime, for them, is not just an option. It's a survival mechanism in a world that offers few other choices. The desperation to escape their socio-economic conditions fuels their criminal behavior, reinforcing the cycle of crime as a means to an end. The environment in which a person is raised can significantly shape their values and attitudes toward crime. In neighborhoods dominated by gang activity, violence, and illegal trade, crime becomes normalized. The individuals within these communities may view criminal behavior not as deviant but as a part of the daily fabric of life. For many young people, gang membership offers a sense of purpose, respect, and protection that they cannot find elsewhere. The psychological need for belonging and identity is often fulfilled by joining a gang, where loyalty to the group is paramount. This loyalty can blur moral lines, leading individuals to commit violent and illegal acts without hesitation. Gang culture, with its emphasis on loyalty, dominance, and respect, further deepens the psychological commitment to crime. Within the gang, members view each other as family, and betrayal is seen as a grave offense. This tight-knit structure fosters a sense of shared identity and responsibility, which leads members to justify their criminal actions. The loyalty to the gang often outweighs any moral considerations, and the idea of maintaining the gang's reputation can drive individuals to commit increasingly violent acts. This can include everything from theft and robbery to murder, as maintaining the group's power and status becomes a driving force in their lives. Neurological factors also contribute to the development of criminal tendencies. Studies have shown that some individuals have a higher predisposition toward impulsivity, aggression, and a lack of empathy due to differences in brain chemistry or structure. Abnormalities in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for impulse control and decision-making, can lead to reckless and violent behavior. Additionally, individuals with antisocial personality traits or narcissistic tendencies may have a reduced capacity for empathy and guilt, which allows them to carry out harmful acts without remorse. This neurological imbalance, combined with an environment that reinforces criminal behavior, creates a dangerous combination that propels individuals further into the criminal world. The media also plays a critical role in shaping perceptions of crime and criminality. In many films, television shows, and music, criminals are often glorified, portrayed as powerful, charismatic individuals who live outside the law and enjoy wealth and respect. This portrayal of criminals as heroes or anti-heroes can be particularly influential on young, impressionable individuals who may romanticize the idea of a life of crime. These media representations rarely show the brutal realities of criminal activity, including the loss of life, the damage to families, and the inevitable consequences of such a lifestyle. As a result, crime becomes a more attractive, even aspirational, way of life for some, especially when they feel disconnected from society or lack positive role models. Moreover, the criminal justice system often fails to address the root causes of criminal behavior, focusing instead on punishment. While incarceration may temporarily remove criminals from society, it often does little to rehabilitate them or address the underlying psychological and social issues that contributed to their criminality. In prison, many individuals are exposed to further criminal activity, reinforcing their criminal behavior. Without effective rehabilitation programs or opportunities for personal growth, many individuals emerge from prison more hardened and more likely to reoffend. This cycle of incarceration and recidivism highlights the need for a more comprehensive approach to crime prevention that focuses on rehabilitation, education, and addressing the psychological needs of offenders. The desire for status, wealth, and power is another strong motivator for criminals. Many gangsters are driven by the aspiration to achieve a level of respect, recognition, and financial success that they believe is unattainable through legitimate means. Crime offers a shortcut to these goals, allowing individuals to amass wealth and power quickly. However, this desire for status often leads to increasingly dangerous and violent actions as criminals seek to protect their position and maintain their dominance. The pursuit of power within the criminal underworld can be all-consuming, with little regard for the lives or well-being of others. Furthermore, many criminals suffer from a form of cognitive dissonance, wherein they justify their actions by convincing themselves that they are not doing anything wrong. This can be particularly true in cases where the individual is involved in a gang or organized crime. The belief that they are acting in the service of the group or seeking justice for personal wrongs allows them to compartmentalize their behavior and avoid feelings of guilt or remorse. This psychological defense mechanism enables them to continue committing crimes without internal conflict. In conclusion, The psychological roots of criminal behavior are multifaceted and deeply rooted in personal, social, and neurological factors. From childhood trauma and poverty to the influence of gang culture and the glorification of crime in media, these elements create a perfect storm that drives individuals toward a life of crime. Understanding these psychological factors is crucial in addressing the causes of criminal behavior and finding more effective ways to prevent and rehabilitate offenders. By focusing on early intervention, education, and mental health support, society can work toward breaking the cycle of crime and offering individuals the opportunity to change. Ultimately, the goal should be to provide those who are at risk of turning to crime with the resources, guidance, and support needed to build a better future, one that is free from the destructive forces of violence and lawlessness.
Welcome to the Story Cypher channel. We've got plenty of updates for you about intriguing stories. Today, we're diving into the tale of Slim's warehouse garage filled with stolen cars, how the police meticulously investigated the operation, and the dramatic raid that led to Slim's arrest. Stay tuned as we unravel this gripping story.
Marcus "Slim" Johnson, a skilled and elusive car thief, had earned his reputation in New York City by pulling off audacious heists without leaving a trace. Slim, a black man from Detroit, had grown up tinkering with cars in his uncle's garage. His mechanical expertise and sharp intellect made him a natural at bypassing even the most sophisticated security systems. Slim moved to New York in 2023, drawn by the city's wealth and abundance of luxury vehicles. He operated solo, targeting high-end cars parked in affluent neighborhoods and malls. Slim's method was clean and calculated. He used advanced tools to disable alarms and tracking systems, often completing the theft in under 2 minutes. He would park the stolen cars in inconspicuous locations for a cooling-off period to ensure they weren't being tracked before moving them to warehouses he rented under fake identities. Slim didn't just steal cars. He dismantled them with surgical precision, selling parts to underground dealers or exporting entire vehicles overseas. His operation was so seamless that for months, the NYPD had no leads on the sudden spike in luxury car thefts. However, Slim's luck began to turn when one of his stolen vehicles was involved in an accident. The driver, arrested on the scene, revealed details about Slim's operation under pressure from investigators. This led NYPD detectives to suspect an organized network rather than random thefts. Detectives formed a special task force to track Slim down. They monitored suspicious activity at ports and warehouses across Brooklyn and Queens, but struggled to find concrete evidence linking Slim to the crimes. Slim's downfall came when he grew overconfident. In January 2025, he attempted to steal a rare Aston Martin from a private garage equipped with hidden surveillance cameras. The footage captured Slim's face clearly for the first time, providing investigators with their breakthrough. Using facial recognition technology and tips from informants, detectives traced Slim's movements to one of his warehouses in Staten Island. After weeks of surveillance, they raided the location and uncovered dozens of stolen vehicles awaiting shipment overseas. Slim was arrested in March 2025 while attempting to flee the city. During interrogation, he refused to cooperate, but evidence from the warehouse and testimonies from accomplices sealed his fate. The NYPD announced his arrest as part of their crackdown on luxury car theft rings. Slim's story became a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most meticulous plans can unravel under scrutiny. His clean methods may have delayed justice, but they couldn't prevent it entirely.